its demigod debut. I'm Mal, longtime Percy Jackson fan who thinks more women in this universe should have guns.
And I'm Julie, Percy Jackson newbie, and person who's actually enjoying reading this one because I have no idea what is going on. So I have to keep... I almost kept reading today, and I was like, I have to stop.
Yes.
What?
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
And the chapters are so short, I was like, I could read a little bit more. Just a little bit.
I know, those last two are especially short. Because this is a podcast about Julie reading The Lost Hero for the first time. And we read chapters 4 through 6, 1 Piper chapter, 2 Leo chapters. And felt very much not like an even divide. Like it was a lot of Piper in the beginning and then like 2 really quick Leo chapters. Also, fair warning, today we are more melted puddles than podcast hosts because it was like 100 degrees today. I just have to bring up something that someone commented on an episode a long time ago because I think we were talking once about like Celsius versus Fahrenheit, and I still stand by the fact that Fahrenheit works better for outside temperatures because being able to say it's 100 degrees outside just really captures the horror. Like that being a triple digit number is absolutely better than being like, it was 38 degrees today.
Yeah, agreed.
38 degrees is winter. But I think I said something about, like, if it's 40 degrees Celsius outside, I don't know how to dress for that. And someone was like, if it was 40 degrees Celsius outside, you would be on fire, because that's really hot. But it was 38 degrees today, which is pretty much 40, and I did not catch on fire. So I would just like to say that I'm built different, I guess. Sorry to you who would be on fire, but I was not on fire.
Are they European or something? Like, they live in the UK, and they think, like, 75 degrees is hot.
I'm sure. They said something that was like 25 is a hot summer day or something.
And listen, in the UK, they have weird rules about how far you can open your windows and that you can't have air conditioning. So it's a terrible time when it's like mildly hot there, but don't come at us. Go at your own government.
I at least have AC happening right now. If you can hear it, sorry, I will not be turning it off. And we're just going to deal with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to our book that canonically is taking place in December.
Is this our second winter book?
This is our second winter book.
Yay!
And I think it's our second winter book that we are covering in the heat of the summer. So
look at us.
On brand and on theme. All right, so chapter 4, our very long Piper chapter. We kind of left off last time with Annabeth telling Piper that they need to talk, and she's going to give her a tour of camp. And very quickly, Piper realizes that Annabeth is not really into this tour. She's kind of showing her things without any excitement, which I guess in part happens when you've lived there since you were 7, and also when your boyfriend is missing. And again, I think Annabeth is well within her rights to be worse than she is being right now, so honestly, I'm proud of her. Piper also has a million questions and asks none of them. One of the questions that she kind of has in her little narration reminds me so much of Percy, and I think she should have asked it because I think Annabeth might have liked it. Because one of her questions is, can she flunk out of monster fighting? Like, that's so Percy, except Percy would have actually said that out loud.
Oh, for sure.
And actually, now that I've said this, I'm like 85% sure that in one of the books of short stories or something, they released Percy's report card from camp. Like, they get report cards from camp. Am I making that up? I feel like I have seen... Hold on. Google. Percy Jackson report card. Okay, well... Okay, yeah, Percy did indeed get a progress report. It was on Rick's blog, I believe. Okay, so on Percy's progress report, the activities that you get graded in are monster maiming, in which he got an A. And it says Percy shows great aptitude at lopping off limbs.
That's our boy.
Defense, he got a B. And it says Percy almost got killed several times this summer. Good job. He needs to concentrate on minding his surroundings.
Sounds about right.
He got an A+ in sword fighting. He got a C in team spirit. And it says Percy gets in occasional fights with his fellow campers. We would like him to remember that Clarice's head does not belong in the barbecue pit. He got a C in Greek speak. And it says Percy is making progress with ancient Greek. Unfortunately, on his final exam, he translated, "The great Achilles took the field as my grandfather's hamburger is nasty." He got an A in chariot racing, a C- in foot racing, a C- in archery. That checks out. A B in javelin throwing and an A in rock climbing. And for rock climbing, it says Percy excels at rock climbing, perhaps because he does not enjoy falling into the lava below.
Well.
So I guess bad news for Piper, you can in fact flunk monster fighting, though I guess they call it monster maiming on the progress report. I don't know why that just came to my brain. I don't know when I saw this, but I wonder if there's other progress reports, because I bet Annabeth has all A's, but now is not the time. Anyway, where were we? Another thing of note about our tour, Piper says that there are 20 cabins now, and when we were last at camp in August, there were 12, but we were in the process of constructing new ones, so we've built 8 new cabins in the last, 4 months. I can't even think of what they are. Hades, Hecate, Hypnos...
Nemesis? Did you get one?
Nemesis, Iris... That's 5, so there's at least 3 more. I don't know.
But they're there.
I'm gonna probably sit up in the middle of the night tonight and be like, I just remembered. But, yeah, we got at least 8 new cabins. Annabeth notes that Piper seems to be taking the news that her mom's a goddess pretty well, pretty calmly. Narrator Piper says this kind of confirms some weird feelings she's had for a while, and also she had this dream that warned her that this was coming. The dream said, and I quote, "Soon they will find you, demigod. When they do, follow our directions, cooperate, and your father might live." So that's good.
Yeah.
Annabeth also talks her through claiming, once again saying she's probably going to get claimed at the campfire tonight. They also discuss Coach Hedge and Celestial Bronze weapons and how they don't do very much against storm spirits, but somehow Jason was able to vaporize them. Interesting. And Annabeth is pretty sure Dylan wouldn't keep Hedge alive, but kind of tries to reassure Piper by saying that, oh, he's a satyr, he'll reincarnate as something in nature. And Piper pictures him as a very angry clump of pansies, which
pretty good.
Which he says makes her feel worse, but I think is funny.
Yeah. That'd make me feel better, actually.
I think that's what Coach Hedge would want.
Yeah, he's a nature spirit.
Or he'd want to be one of those flowers that smells like a dead body or something, weird, And now I'm did we already have a conversation about what we would want to reincarnate as? Maybe we did, but I don't remember.
I don't remember if we ever did. I want to come back as a magnolia tree.
That makes sense. You'd make a nice magnolia tree.
Thank you.
I would like to be something with fruit, probably. Like an apple tree or something that people could enjoy.
Yeah.
And honestly, if we had this conversation before, I probably said something different because I just change my mind all the time.
Yeah. And you know what? That's your right as a woman.
Right. I mean, I'm allowed to learn and grow and change my opinions.
It's do you remember that episode of Ted Lasso? It's the funeral episode where oh my god, I can't remember her name.
No, all I'm thinking of is Keely being if you were hit by a bus, what would you want me to do? Avenge me, Keely.
Well, I can't remember who said they wanted to come back as an apple tree or something. Would you? And they were arguing over or not whether.
Oh, Keely. Keely said she wanted to be a tree.
Yeah, whether or not he would eat the apple.
Yes. Yes. Ted Lasso, what a show.
I miss her.
Another thing that's kind of fun to me, I'm going to bring up Percy again here because of course I am, but Annabeth tells Piper that she's got friends here at camp and they've all been through weird stuff, so they understand what she's going through, and Piper kind of thinks, yeah, I doubt it, and tells Annabeth she's been kicked out of 5 schools in the last 5 years, and Annabeth goes, oh, only 5? To compare to Percy, in the beginning of The Lightning Thief, Percy says he's been kicked out of 6 schools in 6 years, and kind of that implies that Yancey is about to be his 7th. Then it is, because he gets kicked out. And then he gets kicked out of Meriwether Prep after 7th grade. So that's 8 schools by the time he's in 7th grade. And then it's never confirmed whether or not he gets kicked out of his 8th grade school, because Titan's Curse takes place in the winter, so we're not really sure. But regardless, he does transfer to Good for 9th grade. So at the very least, Percy has gone to 10 different schools. So get out of here with your weak-ass 5, Piper. And, Annabeth even says, you should have seen how much trouble Percy got into, and then kind of, trails off because she doesn't want to think about Percy. Yeah. But Annabeth and we both miss him. And also, Piper and Percy both came to camp with, a weird parent thing going on. Percy was all determined to go on a quest to rescue his mom from the underworld. Piper's having these things about needing to rescue her dad. It's very interesting.
I love it.
It's also very interesting that I just keep saying that things are interesting because I need a new word. It's very intriguing.
There you go. Fascinating.
It's...
Yeah, we'll get you a thesaurus.
something to note. I don't know.
Yeah.
Annabeth, like, goes through the whole demigod spiel about, like, we have ADHD and dyslexia. Piper goes, oh, Leo's ADHD, kind of implying that, like, she herself is not. Now, this I'm pretty sure that I have brought up on this podcast, but my theory that Annabeth probably was never, like, formally diagnosed in school with anything, partially because ADHD tends to present differently in girls, and girls tend to get diagnosed later, and also because, you know, she stopped attending school at 7. But it kind of makes me wonder if that's also the case with Piper. Like, has she never been formally diagnosed because, like, her dad's not very involved, and usually parents have to be involved in that process, or, like, she's never been at one school long enough? I don't know. Just something to consider. Because what is a podcast for if not reading into little throwaway lines?
That's this whole podcast. That's what we do.
This whole podcast is me, like, getting distracted by one random detail, and then all of a sudden we're talking about New York subway lines for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we get into Piper's whole stealing thing and how she just asked the BMW dealer for a convertible and he let her take it, and then realized what had happened and sent the police after her. And Annabeth says if her dad was the god, she would assume that Piper was a child of Hermes, which is awfully heteronormative of you, Annabeth.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that Piper's dad didn't have a fling with a god? It's not impossible.
Yeah.
Like, lots of the gods are said to have male lovers.
You're telling me it's impossible for a god to get a man pregnant? Give me a break.
Godly impreg? I mean, come on. But, like, I mean, Athena makes babies with her mind. You can't tell me that this is impossible.
Hello.
Yeah, I did kind of get on a rabbit hole because I was like, I know there's a lot of gods that have male lovers, but I couldn't think of any examples of, like, Hermes specifically. So I looked it up, and there's, like, a long list of, like, female lovers. And then there's, like, there's, like, 3 men, according to theoi.com. So who knows how reliable this source is, but it contributes to my agenda, and so...
That's all we need to know.
If right-wing news channels can do it, so can I. According to this website, that may or may not be real information, Hermes had 3 potential male lovers, and it's mostly just, like, men that he kind of favored, and people are like, could have been gay. And so they are Crocus, Amphion, and Perseus, because apparently some interpretations of the Perseus myth say that Hermes gave him the winged sandals to defeat Medusa because he loved him.
Yuck.
Why yuck?
I don't know, because I think Perseus...
Are you homophobic?
No, I think of Perseus. I don't think of, like, the myth. I think of our boy.
Oh, yeah. And we hope that's not what's going on. Well, actually, Hermes had nothing to do with the winged sandals. That was all Luke.
It was all...
And those were cursed
Luke
to drag him into super hell, so... Also, fun fact, there is a demigod in this series later who has a mortal male father and a godly father, so it is possible. It is not Piper, though. Piper does, in fact, have a godly mother, so... And Piper is also very nervous that her mom is going to know about her dreams and might ground her to the underworld or, like, blast her or something. And she also worries that Annabeth is going to be smart enough to figure out her secret.
Well, if anyone could, it'd be Annabeth.
If anyone could, it would be Annabeth. You're right. So, Annabeth then takes Piper to a cave where her good friend Rachel the Oracle stays when she's at camp. Also, we have an inconsistency here. Annabeth says that Rachel's family has a luxury condo in Queens, but last book, Percy said it was a brownstone in Brooklyn.
What is the truth?
I guess it's not outside the realm of possibility that the Dare family could own more than one property. And maybe the brownstone in Brooklyn is just the thing that, like, the boys Rachel's interested in get to know about, and Annabeth only knows about the luxury condo in Queens. I don't know. No. I'm just making things up.
I'm trying to start shit.
Or more likely, Rick Riordan forgot where Rachel lived.
I could see that happening.
Or Rick Riordan thinks Queens and Brooklyn are the same. But Annabeth has been hoping that Rachel can help her find Percy. When Piper asks how long Annabeth has been searching, she says 3 days, 6 hours, and about 12 minutes. And what happened was they met up at camp on Tuesday. After the campfire that night, he kissed her goodnight. He went back to his cabin, and by the morning, he had vanished. And no one has been able to contact him. So...
Not great.
Not great. And then they get on the topic of Jason. And Annabeth kind of tries to gently tell Piper that her relationship with Jason is probably just a trick of the mist, and Piper doesn't want to believe it, but she can't even answer basic questions about him, like where he's from or what his last name is. To be fair to Piper, I don't think Jason can answer those questions either. But also, I did accidentally say Jason's last name last episode. I don't think you caught it, unless maybe you did.
What's the most realistic explanation?
Right, that you did not catch it. It like came out of my mouth, and then I was like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be saying that. Oh well. We also get one last little snippet of her dream. She's apparently been told, you'll betray them for us or you'll lose everything. Like, leave her alone. She's just a girl.
Just a girl.
Also, another strange detail that I'm gonna get caught up on. They walk by the basketball courts, and Annabeth is like, oh, the children of Apollo are really good with missile weapons, which means their basketball shots always go in. Okay.
What's the connection? Are they, like, using different basketballs? Are they cheating?
Or, because he's the god of archery. Like, I understand why they would be good at archery, but why does it translate to basketball skills?
Yeah.
Then is, like, the NBA just crawling with children of Apollo?
Caitlin Clark is a child of Apollo. I actually don't know how good she is. That's the only WNBA player. Her and Angel Reese. Those are the only two I know.
And they keep fighting, actually, because they're sisters. They're both children of Apollo.
Exactly.
I know some of the New York Liberty, just because I go to New York Liberty games relatively often, because I am gay, and women's sports, I mean, they go hand in hand. Anyway, so Annabeth then takes Piper to the Athena cabin to find her a weapon. They also apparently have a smart board in there, which feels very aggressively 2010.
Yeah, like, didn't we give up on those by now?
Yeah, like, I would imagine some schools still use them, but it feels like the Athena cabin would have more up-to-date technology. And smart boards aren't it.
Yeah.
Though I did love getting to, like, calibrate them when you got to press the little, like, targets on the board.
Okay.
It was great.
I think we used one once in my 10th grade geometry class, and then I've never seen one used again after that. Not in college, not throughout the rest of high school, not grad school. Did not use them.
My 5th grade teacher got one, and it was like a huge deal because she was the first teacher in the building to get one. So, because this would have been like probably 2008, and we were like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Because it had like the little markers that you could draw with, and then they kind of like trickled their way into classes as I was kind of going through middle and high school. And then now I think, like, if I went back to the schools that I went to in middle and high school, now I think they've all got basically just big TV screens, not smart boards anymore.
Yeah, I think at my old schools just used whiteboard or chalkboards. Chalkboards are big at my college because it's old. So everything in, like, the older building is all chalk.
Chalk is kind of fun in a old-timey way.
It is, but you get someone who doesn't know how to hold it correctly. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, give it to me. Like, you don't know how to use this.
So next we get a weapon picking montage, which is fun. So first Piper tries a giant sword, which they both kind of decide is not the move. Then she tries a shotgun. And I just want to know how long we've had demigod guns and why have we not made more use of these?
I kind of wish she had chosen the shotgun. I would choose a gun.
I think she should have chosen the shotgun. Like, she's like, oh, it's not really my style, but it would be so cool.
It kind of feels like her style, to be honest. Like, she gives shotgun vibes.
Honestly, yes, give Piper a gun. That's why I'm saying more women in this universe should have guns, because, like, how long have we had this technology?
What would be your weapon? Would you choose a gun? What would you choose?
That's a great question. I feel like I would want something that I could use from a distance, so I feel like I would either bow and arrow or gun, honestly. I don't want to be up in...
All close and
personal. Yeah, up close and personal sword fighting now.
Yeah.
I do kind of wonder, is this a result of Annabeth's dad? Because, you know, in Titan's Curse, he flew in with his plane, and he had the celestial bronze bullets because he had melted down some of Annabeth's weapons. I'm like, did he invent this, and then they kind of took it and ran with it, and now they have guns?
I feel like they should have had guns already before that.
Yeah, like, that it doesn't feel like it would be that big of a leap technologically.
Yeah. Like, when did automatic weapons become a thing? Like, after World War II, maybe? I don't know.
But, like, imagine you bring a gun to a sword fight, Percy rolls up to the final confrontation with Kronos and is like, hello, Luke.
Yeah.
Here's my gun.
Like, you're done, buddy. You're done. And honestly, kind of looks more badass. Have to be honest. I am a gun girly. Like, looks way cooler.
And I feel like they could do some cool, like, magical stuff. Especially because, like, for what we see of the Hephaestus cabin, like, they have a lot of cool technology.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
And then there's also, like, magic. Like, you put those things together, like, you could make a pretty rockin' mythological gun. Like, it'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, give Piper a gun. Give Annabeth a gun, too, for good measure. Like,
give all the girls guns.
Exactly.
We could have ended Luke.
Right.
So quickly.
You gonna tell me Kronos would have known what to do with a gun? No.
He's stupid and old. He doesn't even know what a gun is. Please.
Piper ends up picking a bronze knife that she says is 18 inches long. And that seems really long for a knife.
Yeah. What? Because that's not like a foot. So it's like that long?
Like, at what point does it just become a sword?
Yeah, like, if I were to have a knife, I want something short.
Yeah.
Because 18 inches seems very unwieldy.
Yeah, like, what do you do with a knife that's 18 inches? And I even went back and looked because I was trying to see if, like, the length of Annabeth's knife is ever given. And it isn't. But Percy does at one point call it, like, a long bronze knife.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, how long is Annabeth's knife?
I want a cute little one.
Actually, you know what I didn't look at? The Diary of Luke Castellan.
Oh.
To see if that gave a length for the knife, now that I think about it. Hold on. When does he get the knife? I probably should just look up, like, knife. No. The length, I don't think the length is ever given. Okay. Just, perhaps I need to know more about weapons, because...
Yeah. What's the line?
Like, is there a certain length where it becomes a sword rather than a knife? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
But turns out that our knife sword thing belonged to Helen of Troy, because of course it did.
Like, shouldn't this be in a museum?
I love how Piper's immediate reaction is like, why do you have this?
Fair.
And Annabeth is like, no, it's meant to be used. All right. Great. And so the knife is called Catoptris? Catoptris? I don't know. I'm gonna say Catoptris? Catoptris? Now I
Just
get...
go with it. I believe in you.
It doesn't feel like a word. Catoptris. Okay, well, the knife. And so it means mirror, which Annabeth says is probably the only thing it was ever used for, which seems a little misogynistic. Like,
that's what I would.
Oh, Helen probably just sat around looking at herself in this night, but
let's be real.
Maybe
it's
I'm
the Carpenter music video. Do you remember that? The taste. She's like putting on lipstick in the reflection of a knife.
Perhaps I'm reading into it.
Perhaps iconic.
Okay, so perhaps it's iconic instead of being like, women can't fight. They can only use their knife as a mirror. But it's also iconic. So Piper looks into it and sees not only herself, but also an image of her dad in chains in front of a fire. She drops the knife immediately and has kind of a moment, but assures Annabeth she's okay and asks if she can call her dad. And so Annabeth lets her borrow her not-so-secret cell phone. And, you know, I'm just wondering, like, why don't the monsters come after Annabeth for the cell phone when they've been telling us this whole time that, like,
I mean,
the monsters are going to get you?
Is the camp, like, a safe zone? Like, the monsters can't get in the camp because it's protected?
Yeah, but then why can't they all have cell phones inside of camp?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's not
why
like...
does Annabeth get special privileges? Yeah. I mean, she should, because I love her, but...
And monsters would definitely know about camp, because I feel like it's a hot spot of demigods.
Yeah.
I don't know. Annabeth is special. She gets to break the rules. That's all we need to know.
And good for her. So, Piper ends up getting her dad's assistant, who sucks, and won't admit anything is wrong. And Annabeth kind of clocks Piper's last name and says it sounds familiar. Piper kind of half lies and says, oh, it's a common name. My dad is a Cherokee artist.
Okay.
But, you know, this is an example of using racism to your advantage, I guess.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I don't want anyone to know who my dad is. And so saying that, people are going to assume one thing, and I'm just going to, like, let it happen. All right. And so They continue to walk around. Piper doesn't really feel drawn to any of the cabins. She's a little interested in Artemis and also the hunters, and especially the immortality thing, until she learns it would mean no dating ever. She also has a very negative reaction to the Aphrodite cabin, calls it a Barbie house where supermodels go to die. Again, little misogynistic.
Rude.
The very negative depictions of, like, typical femininity don't sit right with me, like it being pink and smelling like perfume. That's not a bad thing.
Also, I would argue if I was in the Aphrodite cabin, it would not smell like perfume. It would smell like a very nice candle.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, something nice from Bath and Body Works or something. I don't know.
And actually, that's what all the cabins should smell like, because there's a bunch of teenagers that live there, and I guarantee you those children without adult supervision are not showering as much as they should be.
Yeah. Are we using aluminum deodorant? Like, come on.
Please. You're there in the summer, besties. You need a good deodorant.
Yes. We're not doing this.
No, I will say, just to kind of prepare yourself, because the Aphrodite cabin very much suffers from being written by a man and written in the 2010s. Like, it's just... Because, like, yeah, in 2010, I was also walking around like, pink isn't cool. I don't want to be girly. Like, I can't be into girl things. Ew. But we all grow and change.
Yeah.
And, like, this is a journey that we all have to go on.
Including Rick.
Including Rick. You know, this you have to kind of be like, don't love it. 2010s, also, written by a man.
Selena's no longer with us. She's not here to keep, like, the cabin all nice. And we have that bitch, whatever her name is.
Drew.
Yes. I almost called her Dawn. I was like, I knew it started with a D. And I'm still upset about it.
I know. It's very interesting the way that you feel the absence of these characters that died in the last book. Like,
yeah.
Selena with the Aphrodite cabin and Beckendorf a lot with the Hephaestus cabin. Like, haunting the narrative.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way that Thalia did for
yeah.
a bit in the first two books. maybe Selena and Beckendorf will just emerge from the trees they were turned into.
Yeah, come on.
And they'll be back. Yeah, speaking of Selena, Annabeth also brings her up, not by name, but she tells Piper that, like, the girl that they met, Drew, is the head counselor of Aphrodite, and that the last counselor had been much better, but then we kind of get no more information about poor Selena. Then Piper and Annabeth kind of end up the big Zeus and Hera cabins. Annabeth explains kids of the big three, Thalia, Percy, and Nico. One thing that's a little bit funny to me is that Annabeth, first and last name's Thalia. When, like, last book, Percy was very surprised to discover that Thalia had a last name. You know, like, he was like, oh, hearing Thalia's last name, like, makes her feel like more like a person. But Annabeth is just like, yeah, my good friend, Thalia Grace. And then Annabeth only first names Nico, making him seem more like an enigma. She's like, this guy that shows up sometimes, Nico. Like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe that's just kind of the difference in relationships that they have with these people. Because, like, to Percy, Thalia is more of an enigma. But then to Annabeth, Nico is more of the enigma.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it is sad to call him a kid who just shows up sometime. Because it seems like he was really starting to feel more welcome at camp after the war. So for him to not be there full time is kind of concerning.
I love Nico.
I love Nico too. What an icon. Hope we see more of him. Then they start to talk about Hera and the weird dream vision that she sent to Annabeth, kind of telling her to go to the Grand Canyon where she found Jason, Leo, and Piper. And Piper decides she's going to go inside the cabin because she thinks someone is in there. And she gets a feeling in there that her own dreams are related in some way to Hera, which is interesting. And they find Rachel in Hera's cabin. Your girl, she's back.
Love. She's being a little bit of a freak, though, I have to say.
And I was just about to say, I love the Oracle aesthetic on her because I think it's really funny. Like, she's in a black shawl and she's, like, chanting. And then she, like, gets up and she's just, like, kind of the same old Rachel. And she's like, hey!
Sorry,
what's up, guys?
Got your message.
I love Rachel. And
you know what? She's good. Great. She's great.
And I think she's well within her rights to be really, really weird about all of this. Like, if I was the Oracle, I would absolutely be leaning into it, and I would be as weird as possible.
I'm gonna be a little freak about it. That's my right.
Because what are you gonna do? Kick me out? Get rid of me?
Good luck.
Okay, good luck getting your prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rachel confirms that this cabin and Hera are somehow connected to Percy's disappearance, and also that the gods went silent about a month ago. And this means that even Annabeth, who was redesigning Olympus, hasn't been allowed up there. And also Mr. D was recalled. Pretty much the only thing that happens, like any sign they're getting from the gods, is that demigods are still getting claimed. So basically, between the gods going silent, Percy disappearing, Jason turning up with no memories, there is something happening, and it is probably not great. And then Rachel starts glowing. She grabs Piper, speaks with another voice, saying, "Free me, Piper McLean, or the earth shall swallow us. It must be by the solstice." And then everything gets kind of fuzzy for Piper. The Hera statue also speaks and says, "Our enemies stir. The fiery one is only the first. Bow to his will and the king will rise, dooming us all. Free me." And Piper passes out. Great.
Yeah.
Great time.
Kind of terrifying.
Definitely terrifying. I have to say, I've never felt self-conscious about the way that I pronounce Piper's last name. It's always been Piper McLean to me.
Yeah.
Then I said that to a friend last night. I was like, Piper McLean, the woman you are. And then she was like, "Oh, you say McLean? I say McLean." And I was like, "What?"
It's not Die Hard. It's not John McClane. It's Lean. It's not Lane.
Instead of EA, it would be AI, right?
Or I was thinking LANE. McLean.
Yes.
But you know what? I will say there's a county and then there's a city in PA. One, they're both spelled McKean. One of them is McCain and one of them is McKean. And I'm like, pick a pronunciation and stick with it because I don't know which one is pronounced which. But they're both spelled the same way.
That's kind of like Houston Street in New York versus like Houston, Texas, the town I grew up in.
Technically, it's Houston. And I did say that to you.
You did. And I was like, well, I'm from Houston, so...
It's a different guy, Mal.
You can pry Houston from my cold, dead hands. Just like you can pry McLean from my cold, dead hands, because...
McLean's correct. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad. I just had to confirm, because I was like, am I the one who's wrong?
No.
Great. Thank you. All right. So, kind of a long chapter. This is, I think, the bulk of my notes. But we've got a fun little mystery going on here. Any other thoughts from you?
Just that I thought in the beginning, I kind of wrote that Annabeth is not very comforting to Piper.
Oh, she's not. Absolutely not.
Poor Piper's she's having a meltdown because she's like this guy she's been dating.
Her relationship's not real.
Yeah. Something's happening to her dad. She's going through it. And to Annabeth's defense, her boyfriend is also missing.
Right.
So if my boyfriend was missing, I'd kind of be like, Mal, I'm not doing this fucking podcast right now. My boyfriend is missing. But, I feel bad for Piper. Is Piper the main character in this book? Because I really want her to be. Or are we just going to be switching between the three the whole book? Do we get, main character vibes? Percy's the main character, obviously.
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to discover this?
I don't know. I should probably discover it, but I really hope it's Piper because I actually don't care about Jason. I thought it would be Jason because we opened up with Jason. So it's he's gonna be the next Percy or whatever. It's I don't really care about him. I care about Piper. I want it to be Piper. I also don't care about Leo.
Great.
So those are my thoughts.
Okay. I
want a girl main character, okay?
Oh, I'm with you.
Who cares about the boys? Not me.
I will say that of this new trio, Piper is my favorite. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil anything. But also, I don't not agree with your takes.
Oh my god, she's not going to be the main character. I'm going to have to read about boys this whole book, aren't I? Ugh.
Well,
damn it.
Speaking of boys, chapter 5 is a Leo chapter. And, oh boy, is he a lot. Kind of in contrast to Piper, Leo is having a great time with his tour. Where Piper was kind of worried that she wasn't going to fit in and she's not going to be good at camp, Leo's everything here is amazing, especially the weapons and the girls. He does specifically think, I don't know how this, being related to the gods business works, but I hope it means we're not all cousins, because that would suck.
God.
Calm down. The one thing he does not find amazing is that his father is the god of fire, considering what happened to his mom, ... And he kind of implies what happened to his mom, but doesn't explicitly say. And so he asks Will about the curse that Butch mentioned when he got claimed. Will starts talking about their last head counselor who died, but then says that Leo's cabin mate should fill him in. And Leo then sees his old babysitter across the green, but Will can't seem to see her. And so Leo goes, haha, just kidding. I was just messing with you. And he's like, can't let the people at camp think I'm crazier than I am. Like,
okay, I just, like, went on a rampage about how much I don't like the boys. That was funny. Leo's funny, I'll give him that.
No, Leo's very funny.
But, like,
but no, I get it. Girl main character is fun.
Come on.
I will say one thing that I like about the POV switches is getting to see all the new cabins, because the Hephaestus cabin rocks. Like, we've been stuck with Percy's, like, beach house this whole time, and Annabeth's school, when we could have had this, like, high-tech steampunk situation. Like, they've got these Murphy
Underground
beds.
private rooms.
Right! The beds with private rooms and tunnels that they've been excavating under the cabin, like...
Beckendorf's bed? What the hell?
Beckendorf's bed. Like, and they also have so many power tools, and, like, this cabin is so cool. Leo also thinks, like, wow, my mom would love this. And then it's like, nope, don't open that can of worms. And he literally says, I wrote down this quote, he didn't like painful memories. Keep moving. That was his motto. Don't dwell on things. Don't stay in one place too long. It was the only way to stay ahead of the sadness. And it's really giving that one moment from Parks and Rec where Chris says, if I keep my body moving at all times, I can avoid falling into a bottomless pit of despair.
Oh my god.
Like, that's Leo right now.
Fair.
So then Leo is introduced to head counselor Jake Mason, who we saw kind of rise to the position of head counselor in the last book very suddenly after Beckendorf died. And Jake Mason is now in a full body cast. Not great.
Funny. I think it's horrible, but I keep thinking of, like, a SpongeBob episode where, like, the fish is like...
I've got glass bones and paper skin.
Yes! That's all I can think of.
So Jake Mason in his body cast. And he says everyone else is down at the forges working on ... that problem. Jake asks Leo if he believes in ghosts or curses, and Leo kind of thinks of seeing his old babysitter and also his mom in the machine shop fire and is like, haha, don't talk to me about ghosts. But then out loud is like, nah, I'm cool. I don't believe in ghosts. And so Jake gives him Beckendorf's old bed, which, as we said, retracts into a private room below. Again, I just desperately need to know more about this cabin and their tunnels that they're excavating. Like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
And so, upon learning that the bed that he has received belongs to Beckendorf, the old head counselor who died, Leo's main concern is making sure that, like, Beckendorf didn't die in this bed, which I think is valid. Like, I really do.
That's a good concern.
And, you know, Will kind of explains the Titan War. It's like, you know, do you remember seeing anything about freak storms, Mount St. Helens erupting? And Leo is like, I do not, because I was on the run from a foster home in New Mexico. So, you know, fighting his own battles. Basically, TLDR, the Hephaestus cabin has been cursed since Beckendorf died, and Will offers to take Leo down to the forges. And as they go, he, like, turns back to look at his new bed, and he's like, I can almost imagine a dead counselor sitting there, like another ghost to haunt me.
What a little weirdo.
Yeah. And, like, the focus on this being this dead guy's bed is so interesting, because, like, as was confirmed to Leo, it's not like he died in the bed. Like,
yeah.
And surely, like, with how often demigods die and how many demigods we lost in the war, like, he can't be the only camper who has come in and is taking a bed that used to be occupied by someone that they lost. Like,
right.
This cannot be a...
Right. Like, the odds are that you're sleeping in a dead kid's bed.
I think if camp kept every bed open that had a camper who died, they wouldn't have any beds left. Which is horrible, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like if the person before me didn't die in the bed, I'd be able to get over it. Like, would you find this weird?
Maybe at first, but, like, because I think you'd be so overwhelmed and you'd be like, oh my god, but I don't know, like, things happen. Like, how many times have you stayed in a hotel where maybe someone died?
Oh, don't put that thought in my head. Ooh.
But I mean, like, people die. It happens.
And I mean, I would assume they at least changed the sheets.
Can we get a deep clean of the room, please?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it would probably be weirder for the people who actually, like, remember Beckendorf sleeping in that bed. Like, I don't think they need to be making as big of a deal out of it as they are, being like, oh, the dead counselor slept there. Like, but maybe it's the curse of it all. Like, if the cabin really truly is cursed, then, like, his ghost is sort of, I don't know.
His ghost and Selena's ghost are too busy going on little ghostly dates together to be haunting a bed.
Well, no, I was kidding.
All right.
I'm sorry.
It was right there.
All right, anything else for chapter 5? Again, it's a short one.
Just, we're getting a lot of lore, or like little bits and pieces of lore. So hence why I wanted to keep reading. I was like, okay, I have to find out. But yeah.
Yes, we're getting a lot of lore. Mm-hmm. All right, so then chapter 6, also a Leo chapter. And so Leo immediately asks how Beckendorf died. And Will tells him it was a boat explosion and that Percy was also there. And Leo's kind of like, dang, this Percy guy again? He must have been involved in everything at this camp. And you know, he kind of was. So, the curse. Apparently, since Beckendorf died, the Hephaestus cabin hasn't been able to successfully build anything. Their machines and automatons are malfunctioning and whatnot, and we have this dragon problem. And so Leo gets introduced to his siblings. There's apparently about a dozen of them, which feels like a lot, especially considering there were like 4. Hephaestus is getting around. But a while ago, because it's not like, never mind.
But they're like, some of them aren't that old. Like, there's like an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Wait, can gods get STDs? I'm very curious.
It's a great question. I would assume no.
Like, if they sleep with like a mortal.
Zeus would have them if gods could get them. So.
Zeus has the clap.
I don't know why you wording it like that. It was very funny. Anyway. So, there weren't this many Hephaestus kids in the last book, I don't think. But now there's like a dozen of them, but we only get 4 names. Shane, Christopher, Nissa, and Harley. And Harley is like 8, and is already putting in shifts at the factory, like this is the 1800s. Really camp needs some child labor laws in place, because none of these children are well.
No.
Like, Leo says they look beaten down, both emotionally and physically. Jesus. And that's not great. But also, I'm a huge fan of Nissa. She's described as looking like an action hero who at any moment might pull out a machine gun and start mowing down evil aliens. Again, give more women guns.
Yeah.
She would have the Celestial Bronze shotgun, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And so Leo kind of looks at her and is like, oh yeah, I've always wanted a sister who could beat me up, which I think is an important quality for a sister to have. And she also doesn't seem to find Leo amusing at all, which also an important quality for a sister to have.
Sisters who have brothers, they need some muscle behind them to survive, I feel like.
Right.
Now, I'm looking in from the inside because I only have sisters, so there's a different kind of toughness. But, like, you have to be physically tough because boys are evil.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 2 brothers, so I had to throw down as a child.
I hope you beat them. So good.
I have a very vivid memory of one time me and my middle brother getting into, like, a very big fight, and then me, like, jumping on his back and just pounding him. And then, you know, as you do with your siblings, you're, like, friends again 20 minutes later, and you're like, hey, do you want to go swim? I'm like, go get in the pool outside? Yeah. Siblings. We get to see one of the inventions going haywire. I bring it up because it's a little mini bronze centaur designed to kill bugs with a bow and arrow, which doesn't feel like the most efficient way to kill bugs, but sure.
Anything that kills bugs is good in my book.
I do think it would kind of be a power move to, like, have this in your house, because, like, imagine, you know, you have someone over at your house, and there's, like, a fly buzzing around, then all of a sudden this little thing just, like, skewers the fly against the wall. If I was a guest and I saw that, I would be like, okay, I gotta be on my best behavior, because I don't know what's gonna set off this, like, centaur thing. So, you know, power move.
The only thing I'm worried about is the cleanup.
That's true.
Like, I don't want to deal with the dead, skewered bugs.
Yeah, because then you'd have to, like, remove the little arrows. Also, we finally get an answer as to what the dragon problem is. And so, if you remember, the dragon that Beckendorf, Percy, Annabeth, and Selena found in the woods and reactivated in the bronze dragon, it is back! As we discussed when we read that short story, to me, this guy is still a big, giant, bronze bearded dragon. So know that that is what I am picturing as we read this. It is a giant bronze Kip. Kip, who is currently waiting for this episode to be over so that I can turn the lights off so she can go to bed.
Can you show me Kip before the episode is over?
Yes, I will. I will show you Kip. So Giant Kip has apparently been smashing cabins, setting people on fire, and trying to eat satyrs. Not so great. But also, I feel like this would be on brand for a bearded dragon as well. Like, Kip has some rage in her heart, but she's so small that it only manifests as, like, really diabolical side-eye. But if she was larger, I think Kip would absolutely be trying to eat me. So, you know, I get it.
Yeah.
Basically, the Hephaestus cabin feels that their only choice here is to hunt down the dragon and destroy it, which Leo really hates. But nobody can get close to it due to the breathing fire of it all. And Leo kind of goes, fire. No, must be cool if I want them to like me. Really, this just makes Leo seem like an arsonist, which, I mean, maybe he is. Who's to say? And so he asks if any of them have fire powers, and he's very casual about it. But he's told that it's a Cyclops ability, and that demigod children of Hephaestus don't tend to have it. And when a child of Hephaestus turns up with this very rare power, it's almost always really, really bad, like the last one, who apparently started the Great Fire of London in 1666.
Not great.
No. So, basically, because of the fire, none of them can get close enough to the dragon, and also, even if they could, it would probably just kill him with teeth and claws. So, they also kind of think that in order to break the curse, they have to do what Beckendorf would do, which is, you know, subdue the dragon without killing it. And they don't really know how to do that. And so, like, anyone who manages to do that would be a hero, but we don't know how to do that. And so the conch horn sounds for dinner. Leo kind of stays behind. And he's looking at a map of the traps that his siblings are sort of planning to set. And thinks about how wrong it feels to destroy this dragon. And we get a little more angst from Leo here about how he's, like, never been the strongest or the biggest. And he's always, like, using humor as a defense and to hide the pain. And then, like, his plan B is always just to run away. And then there's plan C that he's apparently promised to never use again. But also he has this, like, urge, so he extends his fingers, and all of a sudden there's a fire in his palm, because guess what? He's got fire powers.
Excuse me, Leo?
And so, keep this boy away from London, we're gonna have the next great fire. And so, we're just, kind of at this point, we're kind of collecting all the elements here. Like, we've got Leo with the fire now, Jason, who's, like, using the air to fly, Percy's got the water. Now all we need is someone to be in charge of Earth, and my Avatar, The Last Airbender AU is coming together. But also, I guess we don't really have the water, because, like, Percy's gone, but
yeah.
Percy's still here in my heart.
Yeah.
He's here in spirit. Yeah. And you've never even seen Avatar, so...
No.
Want to start an Avatar podcast in which you watch Avatar for the first time? I'm just kidding. You're like, well...
I will have to start watching The Pit, though. I saw a fan video of it, and I was like, oh, this looks so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
I'm trying to read more instead of watching TV, though. It's not really working.
Yeah.
I'm on my Love Island kick right now, and I'm addicted. Anyway, Pit's on my list, though.
Well, I was going to ask you your thoughts on Leo after our Leo chapters, but I feel like you hit that before, but...
I'm kind of worried he killed his mom.
Like murder?
Well, on accident. But, like, he's got the fiery fingers, and he said, like, something about, oh, fire. Like, that's real funny after what happened to my mom. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good. That would be the tragic backstory, accidentally killing his mom.
Would be the tragic backstory. Yeah, Leo, what a fascinating guy Leo is, because I feel like just when he starts getting on my nerves with his, like, over-the-top humor, then he... in his narration gets, like, really self-aware and sad, and then I, like, feel bad for him.
Yeah.
And so, what a guy. So we'll be back to Jason next chapter, and we've now heard from all three of our narrators.
Piper is my favorite.
And so, I feel like we both share a love for Piper and Piper's chapters, so... you'll be happy to know we have 2 Jason chapters and 2 Piper chapters next time, so...
oh, okay.
Yes. Alright, you got any updated predictions? I mean, once again, we can't really do chapter predictions, but, I don't know, any parentage predictions for our two unclaimed friends, or?
Yeah, I'm still unsure. I don't really have any like predictions. I am interested to learn more about this weird aunt of Leo's that I don't really think is an aunt, that I think might be, what were those creepy things that were always watching Percy? Were they the Furies? The old?
Ooh, yeah.
I'm thinking maybe one of those or something similar was watching him, because the Kalida or whatever her name was. Is that right? I think.
Yes, but I assume that it's Spanish, so would it be like Caida?
Aida? Good.
Like tortilla?
Yeah.
We are both very white,
Yeah.
so
You couldn't tell.
if you didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of interested in the little, would we call it a prophecy that Rachel gave to like Piper? It doesn't feel like it was like as big as a prophecy, but it was kind of like a vision.
Yeah, kind of like a vision, I think.
The free me. Who is the me? Is it the Oracle? Or is it someone else? I just want to read more about Piper.
Love Piper.
She's the best. And I've only known her for
a short time.
Yes.
Piper, the girl you are.
Girls can do no wrong in this universe, except for Clarice, sorry.
And see, I even think Clarice can do no wrong, so... Yeah, so we will be back next time with chapters 7 through 10. 2 Jason chapters, 2 Piper chapters, as said before, so looking forward to hearing more from Piper, and Jason will also be there.
That's every time.
And since he doesn't know who he is, it could be true.
It could be him. Who's to say?
Alright. Well, catch you later.
Where's my kip? Lucy kip. Kip.
Oh, yeah. Hi, you can find us on social media at DemigodDebutPod. You can also find the links to all of our socials in the episode description. If you enjoy consuming this podcast, please consider leaving us a rating or review wherever it is you are listening. See you next time. Bye!